What is going on, my YouTube friends? It's Trevor coming at you once again from the Tesla on FSD mode. And I want to talk to you yet again about MSTR stock. We're sitting right around the 170s as of this morning, and with Bitcoin sitting around 85K. And there continues to be more breaking news regarding MSTR and the preferred stocks and their weekly volume, as well as just some more things that Michael Saylor's posted on X that I think every MSTR investor would be very interested in knowing if they don't already. So yeah, guys, before I get into the video, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. We make daily videos on MSTR, and I also talk about Bitcoin and AI and crypto, other cryptos, robotics, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely consider subscribing. Also, if you don't mind, like the video. It helps promote the channel. And let me know what your Bitcoin price targets are by the end of the year, the end of 2025. So, yeah, Michael Saylor posted this 3 minutes ago, literally 3 to 4 minutes ago, because now I'm making this video. Essentially, it's a graph where he's stacked up all of the volume of shares being traded with respect to each one of the preferred stocks that MSTR has issued on a weekly basis, right? And you can go check out his X channel if you really want to get further in depth. But essentially, this goes back about 2 months, where it shows literally week over week the amount of cumulative volume traded for all of these different preferred stocks is going up like 20, 30, 50% between last, not this week, but last week and the week before last week. The volume increased by 50%. Legitimately 50% more shares were traded than the week prior. And that includes Stream, the new STRE, Stretch, Strike, Strive, and Strike, right? So, yeah, I mean, when you see volume increases like that, where you're like seeing cumulative volume increases of 20, 30% plus week over week, yeah, you're gonna get to an extremely high volume very, very quickly. You're seeing those kind of percentage increases just on a week over week basis, right? And what could, Bitcoin did kind of have like a mini crash, so that I'm sure contributed somewhat to the 50%, the 50% gain between the week before last and last week. But still, even then, like 50% increase in volume is just nutty, guys. I mean, that's a lot of people have found out about these preferred stocks. A lot of people are interested in them, and a lot of people are buying and selling them. That's what the volume means, right? So it's like these things aren't just like, these things are gaining a lot of attraction, and what it boils down to is they're all designed to, suit not only multiple investors, but also multiple facets of what an individual investor needs in its portfolio, right? So like Stretch is just essentially just 10% dividend every single year, right? And that's obviously variable, but I mean, it's a big deal, right? So it's a big deal to show that these are not zombie preferred stocks. Like, it's not like they're just sitting there and no one's buying them, right? Same thing with MSTR. Obviously, there's been a lot more selling recently than buying, but that's all Bitcoin related, right? If you look online, a lot of people are just talking about how many Bitcoin they're buying on this dip and how the whales are just like accumulating and accumulating and accumulating, right? So unfortunately, it's mostly retail that's selling, probably due to margin pressure, right? But it is what it is, we can't really help that, right? We, just don't trade on margin, basically. Something else that Michael Saylor posted about, this is a few days ago actually though, basically, and actually I don't think it was him, I think he reposted this, and Strategy is actually the X channel that posted this. Basically what they're saying is that, yeah, so there's a point where Strategies, like their base price, their basis price for where they bought Bitcoin at was 32K, right? And in 2022, right? And yet at the same time, Bitcoin was trading at 16,000, right? So they essentially lost half of their investment if they had sold at that exact moment, right? But what were they doing? They continued to buy. When Bitcoin was at 16K and their average purchase price was 32K, they continued to just buy and buy and buy, right? So that kind of alludes back to how the way that Strategy is set up with the preferred stocks, and with just their whole business idea of, centered around creating Bitcoin for shareholders, as well as just accumulating as much Bitcoin as they can get. They have it in a non-margined way, right? So it's like, even if today, so like their basis price is around like 73K. So if today Bitcoin was 36K, I'm positive that not only would strategy not be going under, they would be doing just fine. They'd have, you know, their market cap would be smaller, the stock price would be smaller, but they would be figuring out additional ways to purchase Bitcoin, right? They'd figure it out. They've proven that historically. They've gotten, you know, it's a very controversial stock. Let's be fair. Like, a lot of people don't like it, and a lot of people like it, you know. But that's one of the beauties about it, right? That's one of the beauties about anything that's, you know, good. There's gonna be people that hate it, and the same thing with anything that's bad. There's gonna be some people that like bad things, right? You know, if you look at investments, you know, previously, like look at 2008 with Lehman Brothers, right? There are tons of investors in the Lehman Brothers, right? But obviously that was a bad investment, right? But a lot of people love them, you know? Similar to like Tesla earlier this year. Tesla had people burning cars on the street, right? And their stock price halved, but guess where it's at now? It's doubled again. So it's like short-term mindsets really can kill long-term investors if they don't, you know, invest properly, you know, and they're just not prepared for the risk, right? And the biggest deal is just don't trade on margin and don't have too much of your money in one stock so that you can't fall asleep at night if it goes down a little bit, right? But yeah, the whole idea is that strategy is not, they're not collateralized to pay these preferred stocks with their Bitcoin. So at no point in the future will they be required to sell Bitcoin to pay dividends on the preferreds, right? That being said, they've got like, they also posted on X, they've got like over 70 years worth of preferred stock dividends in their Bitcoin cash haul, right? With the Bitcoin they have, they did decide they're gonna sell to pay the dividends for the prefs. Then it's like, okay, they've got 70 plus years at Bitcoin's price today to do that, right? But like I said, they actually don't have to. They've got caveats saying in the prefs that, hey, if something bad happens, we don't want to pay dividends, we don't actually have to. You know, it's not like if you go trade on margin on your Schwab account or your Robinhood account, and then you get a margin call, they say, hey, you have to sell this. Like, we don't trust you anymore. Sell your stock to where your margin gets to this level, and yeah, you have to do that. That's not the case with MSTR and their prefs, right? So if they ever want to not pay dividends for a month or 2 or 3, you know, I'm sure the people owning the prefs won't be super happy about that. But at the end of the day, it won't take down the company, and it won't force them to sell all of their Bitcoin. Now, I've made videos before talking about how, you know, if Bitcoin hits, you know, 15, 20K, you know, and it stays there for a year or 2, they are eventually going to have to, like, they've got convertible notes, right? They've got other things. They've got like, I think $8 billion, $10 billion in debt right now. They've got other commitments that they actually do have to pay. So yeah, at that point they would have to, you know, sell some of the Bitcoin out. But it's very, very important to note that these prefs, they're caveated, right? To where like MSTR is going to be just fine, right? So like I said, if Bitcoin were 36K today and they lost 50% on their entirety of their Bitcoin that they've ever purchased, I'm 100% positive they would figure out more ways to buy Bitcoin. They'd issue more prefs in some sort of different region or some sort of different, you know, dividend rate or something, right? They would do something, and they would just lower that average purchase price, you know. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal that the Bitcoin's not collateralized by the dividends. Makes me feel better about feel better about the prefs, as well as MSTR, as well as just the whole idea of this not being a Ponzi scheme, right? Where it's like, you actually, the risk is extremely, extremely low. And for the people that actually do the math, that have looked at the charts from Cern Basher, or looked at what Strategy's posted on their X, or what Michael Saylor's posted on their X, or what, like if you go to the Irresponsibly Long MSTR group on X, right? All of these things, it's like, you can see the actual numbers behind the game of it, what MSTR is doing, and see how actually there's like almost no risk to it. So I challenge everyone, if you have not already done that, to go check that out. It'll make you feel better about your investment if you do have some MSTR shares, or if you're thinking about picking up some MSTR shares or some leaps, if you're interested in that. But yeah, guys, I think that's the end of this video. Be sure to let me know down below what your Bitcoin price targets are. I'm very interested in what my viewer base has for a Bitcoin price target by the end of the year. Also, if you don't mind, I mean, if you found value in this video and you want to learn more about AI, crypto, MSTR, that kind of a thing, definitely consider subscribing to the channel, because we bring breaking news every single day about this kind of stuff. So, yeah, guys, with that, have yourself a fantastic day.